Dire team ban. Ten seconds remaining.
Hello and welcome everybody to the Netolic Raid Call Pro League West Division Losers Bracket Round 1. And yes, I said Losers Bracket because we are up in the playoffs. This is kicking off the playoffs of this tournament. www.netolic-raidcall.com Netolic. This is our first playoff game. Fnatic North America versus Root Gaming. Fnatic actually breaking through the tiebreaker stage of their group, and Root just qualifying in number 2 position in their group. Please remember our primary sponsor is Raid Call. You can check that program out at raidcall.com. Throughout this entire tournament, including today, there are giveaways, prizes, all that good stuff being given away in Raid Call Room 2013, 2013, just like the year. So you can go up in there and check it out. Details of that, as well as all the people who've won and all the fancy stuff that they won, are available in on the website as well. Anyway, I am your English caster, Vikrmond. This is my co-caster, El Presidente. How you doing, man?
I'm doing quite well, and we got like a huge wave of viewers that came in because Merlini's playing.
All right, then. Do you have your mic open, by the way, in-game?
I believe I do because I haven't touched anything from this morning. Yes, it's all good. I feel happy.
I just don't want to have a thing where 2 minutes from now we realize that we messed everything up again. So, going up into the draft, Lifestealer banned out in the first phase, something we don't see that often in the West, but extremely often, including in our own tournament in the sort of Asian scene. And Root, they don't want to face up against that Lifestealer either. I have seen some Fnatic North America games where they used that Lifestealer in the number 1 position. It went pretty well for them. So I'm not too surprised to see this ban come out here. The other 3 bans, of course, also nothing to be too surprised about. Magnus, Nyx Assassin, Bat Rider, all quite strong heroes, and Root securing up that Keeper of the Light first.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's some pretty solid picks all around. Kyle does open up a lot of options for Root as a whole, but Fnatic going with a classic old school let's get kills combo with the IO Chaos
Knight. Old school because it's been around for a whopping like 2-ish months.
It's old school because it happened in DreamHack and then disappeared off the face of the planet.
Right. So IOCK. Well, IO still banned out pretty frequently these days, particularly in these sort of North American EU games. But the Darkseer and the Shadow Demon getting dropped on Root, and that's 3 extremely versatile and popular heroes. Well, Fnatic, they do double down on the CK IO. I've seen them play this before to pretty good effect. They usually have MSS up on the Chaos Knight, and I can't remember who usually plays up that IO, but what we'll see is Hannah Montana up on that Nature's Prophet, and this is a hero that he's quite good with. Hannah Montana, of course, reprising his number 3 position from the old Complexity team on FnaticNA.
Yeah, so far the draft is fairly, I'm going to say stock. There's nothing really too spectacular outside of that Wisp Chaos Knight combo that we've already really touched on. Root is drafting very safe. Keeper of the Light, Darkseer, Shadow Demon, and that's very, very safe. And not unsurprisingly, Phantom Lancer immediately banned out by Fnatic, just because that's not... Actually, that's awful. If Root picked up Phantom Lancer with that combo, that would be a world of pain for Fnatic.
It would be absolutely no joke for Root to have all the both of the tier 1 illusion generating, like people who can generate illusions of other people's heroes, and a Phantom Lancer and a Keeper of the Light. I'm not saying it'll be unbeatable. IOCK can actually beat any composition if they get the right start, but it would definitely be extremely difficult, and they don't want to deal with it if they don't have to.
Apparently the stream is lagging a bit.
Lagging how?
I'm not exactly sure.
So people never give good details on this stuff. The performance of the stream in general hasn't been the greatest, but as long as it's not artifacting, I'm not that concerned.
Oh, I'm also super loud on voice. I'm gonna turn myself down.
Alright, turn yourself down. I'll turn you down a bit as well.
This should be a lot better.
You sound exactly the same, but don't worry about it
Team
because
ban.
I will turn you down.
Well, hopefully it doesn't like double up, and now I can't be heard.
No. It's gonna be fine. Don't worry about it. Sorry, folks. Just tweaking some settings. We haven't been on since this morning, and I've actually changed some stuff since then because I was casting on a different tournament with different settings. But we're good now, I think. Why don't you talk a little bit about this draft while I check if your level's alright?
Nothing really too spectacular here. We do see a Luna ban. That's a little bit more atypical, although she is one of the few carries, like semi-popular carries still left in the pool. The Weaver ban is a little bit strange as well, because Fnatic do have their offlaner, and they do have their pretty much one-position Chaos Knight as well. So Weaver in this kind of situation would be played as support Weaver, which we've seen once in this tournament and once in Raid Call, I think, the D2L. Or it can be played as a solo mid. I wouldn't recommend that. Weaver's a fairly weak mid.
Yeah,
Doesn't have a lot of lane presence. It's not pleasant. That said, Root still haven't picked Merlini's hero. Like, that much is obvious.
Sure.
Merlini hasn't gotten his
Puck is
solo
still in the
mid.
pool, though, and he's been playing Puck a lot, both in tournaments and just in pubs and stuff.
I don't know. Merlini did do his little grab bag for Zeus, so this is, honestly, looking at Fnatic's lineup, this is the match for Zeus if they wanted to pick it up for him.
Against Fnatic, you mean?
Against Fnatic for Root to pick it up, that
you
is the
explain
lineup that Zeus will do the best. I'm going to be absolutely honest. He's
Okay.
actually pretty effective against Chaos Knight as a whole,
10
just because of
seconds
that
remaining.
static field being so powerful. So powerful.
5 seconds
Yeah,
remaining.
I
Chaos
can kind
Knight
of see it, I
BK
guess.
Chaos Knight BKB is like ultra late extension. Usually you see parts and such picked up first, just because Chaos Knight is mostly illusion-based damage. So
We do see BKB. BKB can come online earlier depending on how much you need it. I mean, I've seen people go it right after Armlet if they feel like there's really a good reason to actually pick it up.
yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
I do like the Gyro ban. It would be a really solid pickup for Root, actually, for their #1 hero. But yeah, I don't know if they needed to expend all 3 of these bans on heroes that play the #1 position.
Absolutely. It feels like Fnatic are actually fairly confident that whatever hero Root pick up for Merlini, that they can handle it, whether it's the Puck, the Queen of Pain, or Surprise Zeus pick. Alchemist!
Okay. I mean, obviously probably not a solo mid Alchemist, although it's possible, but I
Only
kind
if
of doubt
Scandal
it.
is playing. I think this is actually really cool because with the Chakra Magic and the Alchemist will actually be able to spam Acid Spray like forever, and that's awful to deal with. Acid Spray is a huge area denial ability. The armor reduction is always very nice, and it's not a good dot, but it's enough of a dot that you don't want to stand in it for too long.
Well, you don't want to stand in it for too long,
10
but
seconds
it doesn't
remaining.
cover such a large radius that you can't be in XP range, for instance.
625 radius,
5
that puts you at
seconds remaining.
1250. That's actually 50 less than XP range. So you are barely outside of it if you want to stay in XP range of the creeps.
If it starts all the way past the creep range.
Yeah, that's assuming you do have the radius out.
Yeah.
So
Right, but
that's actually a huge area denial ability. So
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I would expect to see this be the tri-lane farmer position for this Alchemist. It would be weird for it to be mid. Not actually unheard of. We saw that come into a very brief sort of fashion about a month-ish ago. I want to say early March. A few teams were experimenting with it, but it didn't really seem all that special. These days, the Alchemist comes in one of 2 flavors. One is that he's just your #1 farmer. He gets an absolute crap ton of GPM and rocks everybody. The other is you make it seem like he's going to do that, but secretly he's just a stunning roaming support, because obviously his stun is quite good. The other thing is, Darkseer Alchemist is actually an excellent combination, although it relies on low ping. But these are 2 North American teams that are, and we're playing on US East, so they might have the ping to make it not that huge of a problem. The only difficulty is on Stable Concoction, the radius is so small that actually we won't see Hannah Montana on the Prophet, by the way. I think we might see him on this Tidehunter and just run a mid-Prophet.
Classic Hannah
10
Montana. But
seconds remaining.
But I was going to
what I
say,
like-
sorry, just finish my thought. The
5
time
seconds
after the
remaining.
vacuum and before the Unstable Concoction has to be, like, perfectly coordinated for it to actually hit an AoE. So it's really like a trick you can only use on low ping.
absolutely. And Honestly, though, if you were doing a support alchemist, I think Doom is a better option, to be absolutely honest. They farm pretty well. Like, they both farm really well. And if
Sure.
you really are playing support and you really that's why I think Doom has the advantage, because Doom doesn't need to take last hits. He just walks in the jungle, grabs whatever he feels like, and leaves with very good farm, basically.
Right.
So I think Doom is better as that utility 3-role hero if you were going to go for that.
Hmm.
But if you look at Root's lineup, they don't have a choice. Alchemist is their one role. So in that case,
Yeah.
Doom is blown out the water because
Yeah.
10
Chemical
seconds
Rage is
remaining.
actually one of the most broken abilities in this game.
It's I don't know. I don't know if I'd call it
5
broken.
seconds
But
One
it's definitely
one
very
base
strong.
attack time. If Alchemist had
you may.
reasonable stat growth and what?
Dire team pick.
Don't
Oh.
you could always have an alchemist not in the one role. So it is looking like an alchemist mid after all. I'm glad I mentioned it, even if I did disparage it, because now I can say that I clearly predicted it, even when I predicted the opposite. I did say that it was an option. We actually we could also see Darkseer mid, but Alchemist will be stuck in a weird sort of pure roaming role that he doesn't really excel at. The other option, of course,
10
is
seconds
YouTube
remaining.
superstar ancient farming alchemist.
5 seconds remaining.
I have no idea. This
Well,
is
I don't know. We might see. They're on Radiant. That's the side if
they
you
are
want
on
to do
Radiant, so they
YouTube
have that
superstar
option. Remaining.
ancient alchemist. The problem
They
is
have that-
Nature's Prophet has a global teleport,
5
and if he
seconds
catches
remaining.
wind of you doing YouTube superstar
Queen
alchemist, he can just pick
of
you off at leisure, kind of.
Pain.
absolutely they have that option, but the problem is when you don't know where Alchemist is, you know exactly where Alchemist is.
Well, if he's roaming, yeah. But yeah, if you don't see him for the first 5 minutes, it's like, I wonder which strat cribbed from Yeah, so
Oh.
it is Merlini. Okay, so yeah, actually, when I saw the anti-mage, I mean, I thought that it was a mid-alch. So,
Yeah.
alright, fair enough. Do you think that they're going to do dual mid and dual bot, or do you think it's just going to be solo mid-alch?
I think it's gonna be solo mid Elk, and Elk should be fine provided that it's not a dual mid coming out of FnaticNA with Chaos Knight and IO.
Sure,
put it
although
down.
that would be... And run what, like the... I don't know, I doubt that.
It would run jungling Nature's Prophet and 2 solos with Tide
Right.
and Queen of Pain.
They could do that. That's a bit greedy, but they could
10
probably make it
seconds
work.
remaining.
That seems like a
5
really
seconds
strange combo.
remaining.
I could see it working pretty well because, you know, Fnatic do have some really strong solo players.
Mhm.
But it's yeah. Is it? Yeah, Hannah Montana is playing the Tide.
Yeah. No, that's once we saw the Tide. I mean, it was no big surprise.
Prepare
That'd be how
for
it is.
battle.
Interesting lineups, definitely. We'll have to sort of see how they lane up with these. Why don't you go ahead and introduce Root, and I'll take up Fnatic.
I'm having I think my Dota just crashed.
Ooh, that's not good. All right, I'll introduce Root, and then if you're not back by then, I'll also introduce Fnatic. So, Root Gaming. Merlini, I don't actually know. It seems like he might be, at this point, a permanent addition to this roster, because I've seen him in pretty much every game that they've played in the last couple tournaments I've watched of them. So, perhaps permanent, perhaps just a stand-in, but regardless, Merlini will be going up on this Alchemist. Pandasaurus Rex is on the Keeper of the Light. Monkey's Forever playing that #1 role on the Anti-Mage. DDX is on the Darkseer, and Xoi is on the Shadow Demon. Looking up towards Fnatic, not entirely clear on what their lanes are either. I think you might have been right that they might do the double solo in the jungle and the 2 in the mid, but we'll see. Smurf will be playing up on the Queen of Pain. In the middle, MSS is on the Chaos Knight, which doesn't surprise me too much. The guy doing the Scatman song. Let me look up whose alias this is, because I may just have to say the Scatman, but I think I know who this is actually.
Yeah, I'm still gonna need some time.
That's fine, dude. Oh yeah, it's he's been playing this tournament as
The battle
Kaipi, but
begins.
it's a Jubei. But I'll just call him Scatman for this, because why not? So
Scatman
Scatman
Dota.
up on the Wisp, or the IO rather, F4L on the Nature's Prophet, and that covers everybody, I think. So this is going to be an interesting game. Again, this is best of 1, lower bracket play, so both teams could stand to be eliminated here, or they could move on. A little bit of details about the tournament. This is 8 teams are left in both divisions. And actually, interestingly enough, in the Western Division, even though we had a sort of a passel of European teams as well as teams from all over, we actually do end up with 4 North American teams and 4 South American teams. So that's a little narrative that I'm going to be going back to throughout this tournament. Unfortunately, if you're a fan of North American Dota, we do have 2 of the NA teams paired up against each other right from the beginning here. So 1 North American team will fall today, certainly. And we'll see.
Absolutely.
We'll see just how many fall, because we do have NA versus South America next, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be Shipbirds versus... Who's the other team?
I think Menix or Pain.
Pain. It's Pain. Phoenix is in the winners bracket.
Yeah,
They end up
you're right.
going 3-0 in their bracket.
They do
And
do
I'm
that.
still like having computer issues. This is no fun.
Why don't you reboot Dotes?
Yeah, I'm doing that right now. It's having issues.
All right, well, let me know. You can just restart Steam too if you need to.
Yeah.
No big
Oh,
deal.
there. This
Let me
Dota's
know if you need
relaunch.
to drop from Skype because I might need to call you back. So, Hannah Montana, he is up in the solo. One thing that's interesting that FnaticNA... Oh, they're going to try to cut the courier. Okay, so we saw this happen once. I don't remember if it was this tournament or a different tournament, but I saw an IO sit here waiting to cut the courier for about 5 minutes, then giving up, leaving, and just ending up way behind on levels. And it's tough to justify doing this with IO specifically, because if you don't get the if you don't get the courier, you've just wasted so much experience time, and it's absolutely critical for you as IO to actually hit that level 6 in a timely fashion. I do also want to note that just in terms of our laning theories, what we do end up with is actually DDX in the middle on Darkseer going up against Chaos Knight. And Darkseer are pretty good at harassing Chaos. Oh, there they go. They got the courier. And that's basically first blood right there. Wisp actually dies. So, but the thing is, nobody actually gets any gold because he was killed entirely by the damage from the tower. So, Root, you do see them 1-0, but even though, I don't know if you guys, depending on how familiar you are with Dota, even though the scoreboard says 1-0, the first blood won't actually come until the next kill. I'm pretty sure. I could be totally wrong. Anyway, Twitch chat will surely correct me if I am. Soy rotating over here, but Fnatic spot this out because, of course, F4L is jungling the opposite jungle. Just a little bit of harassment on Monkeys Forever as well, but will F4L end up trapped? This is the difficulty with trying to farm the opposite jungle, is, yeah, he does truck out and out of there. And I see Elprez, you're back. Are you good now?
Almost.
Alright, almost. Anyway, I wanted to talk about the lanes real quick. It does actually end up being Smurf in the solo safe lane for Fnatic, and basically that duo mid, and then the solo and jungle. But for Root, they actually put up the Darkseer in the middle, so DDX in the middle, then an aggressive tri-lane against the Queen of Pain. So Merlini, Pandasaurus Rex, and technically Soy, although he's now rotated over for more of a 2-1-2 type situation. But initially it was a tri-lane. So the Darkseer mid, I actually like this. I think I could put a decent amount of pressure on the Chaos Knight. And the thing about IO is his base damage is pretty bad, and he actually has a lot of difficulty clearing out creeps. So it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world for the CK Wisp dual lane to actually take care of those Ion Shelled creeps in a timely fashion. So the CK is going to end up copping at least a little bit of harassment. Looking up towards the farm, that said, MSS actually doing quite well as far as last hitting goes. He's at 22, leading the board. Monkeys Forever actually not doing that fantastic on the solo lane anti-mage, but Merlini competently on the Alchemist so far. 17 last hits and 10 denies, actually, making sure that Smurf is probably a little bit behind on levels considering it's the solo lane. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. First of all, I feel really clever for calling this, because it just makes me feel happy. The dual mid, 2 solos in jungle.
Yeah, no, definitely. Serious insight right there.
And I know I'm going to get so much flack for saying that, but I'm also really surprised that they're also running Merlini in a solo safe lane. Usually Merlini doesn't play these hard carries. He usually plays 2 roles and solo mids. That's usually his preference. So this is a little bit...
out in the solo safe for what it's worth. It was a tri lane, and then it descended into a dual lane, and now it's a solo lane.
Yeah, this is fairly interesting. Merlini should be fine up here. He does pick up lots of points in the Unstable Concoction. Personally, I think if you're going for a heavier farming build, Acid Spray is the way to go. It
Well,
lets
he's not
you
farming
farm.
right now. I think they expected that maybe they could get kills on Smurf. Once they realized they couldn't, the supports rotated away. And now I don't... Well, actually, no, 3 in Unstable Concoction now. Interesting.
Yeah, it's Unstable Concoction.
It is a
hurts
great
it.
spell, actually.
Yeah, it's fantastic,
Secretly
provided you
great.
don't blow yourself up.
When you don't blow yourself up, yes, which happens less often in professional context than it does in, you know, our games, but... it does still happen. I don't want to say it doesn't happen. Here we go. They might throw out another unstable. So the Illuminate... Ooh, nice blink, actually. Smurf could have copped a lot of damage if he had gotten hit by both hits of that, but nice play there on the Queen of Pain, frankly, avoiding that.
I do believe that Unstable Concoction can somehow do more than its max damage with travel time, depending. There was like that glorious video a while ago where And that might have been just a bug that they fixed, where the Unstable Concoction of just one-shotting people who teleported back to Fountain while it was chasing after them.
That's been fixed. I've seen global unstable concoctions since then.
The reason why I say that is that Smurf took 246 damage from the Unstable Concoction. Or that might have been the... No, that was Unstable Concoction, because she was... Smurf did blink out of the Illuminate, and that's a lot more than Unstable Concoction can do after the 25% magic resist.
I'm not sure. I mean, whatever. Post it on Dev Dota, nerd. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I honestly don't know. I don't think it should be doing more than its max, but I'm not.
Might have just been a visual error. I don't know.
Tough to say.
Yeah, it's really just...
Ooh, going on in Gambetta here. Only a 1-second stun. That's a little bit disappointing if you're Fnatic. He does also pop off the invisibility rune. But definitely, that's the problem with the rank 3 Chaos Bolt. It is the most random rank of all of the ranks.
Yeah, 1 to 4 seconds. It gives you quite a bit of range. But, of course, Chaos Bolt does have the uniqueness of being one of 2 abilities with 4-second stuns available without being an ultimate.
Unfortunately, so you can see that Monkeys Forever's farm has improved substantially, and the reason this is because he can no longer... His last hitting is no longer as difficult, because Hannah Montana no longer has the mana to either Anchor Smash him, or use his Arcane Boots to get the mana to Anchor Smash him.
That's like the worst case situation.
Here we go, MSS, they're on Merlini, they Reality Rift, the stun comes out 2 seconds, and there we go, there's the first blood. It looks like 1-1, but it's really not, folks. That was just a Wisp trade for a Courier. So Fnatic actually fairly substantially ahead just on the kill count, because technically this thing that looks like a kill for Root is really a Courier kill for Fnatic, which helped them out a lot.
Yeah, 175 gold across the board for your entire team. That's a lot of early gold. It's basically a tower, and that makes a huge difference as you approach the mid-game, because, you know, every little bit counts, especially now that they also got First Blood on Merlini, and seeing as he is playing this one-role Merlini with a dual-core lineup, this is actually very significant.
Absolutely. I mean, it hurts Root's development. It gets Fnatic closer to those magic levels. We see that Scatman... Ooh, I'm disconnected, actually. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I disconnected as well, so...
Uh-oh. Hopefully the players didn't
everything's
disconnect.
back.
Okay, it's just laggy.
Alright, that was like a server issue.
Alright, so we're back in it. So Scatman, he's level 4. That does move him closer to that level 6, being able to participate in that First Blood. I think he was in range to pick up that assist credit. Yeah, I think he was.
One of the big things, though, is that Hannah Montana does hit his level 6 already in a fairly timely fashion, so that does mean that if they really need it, Hannah Montana can just TP in, Ravage, and probably secure some kills. The problem with... There are several problems with Alchemist. One, no reliable escape mechanism.
Right.
Like, you can sort of consider Chemical Rage because it lets him get a lot more health and ridiculous HP regen, and he runs very fast.
Sure.
But, like, that's like saying Luna's 335 base movement speed, or 330 base movement speed is an escape mechanism. It's not.
It can be. Actually, he pops off Ravage, I think just more to annoy Monkeys Forever than anything. I don't know how they would have gotten the kill with that. Maybe if Queen of Pain had arrived a little sooner, but Smurf, I mean... I'm not sure if they plan to actually get the kill there, or if they just plan to push Monkeys Forever off the lane a little bit. Overall, the XP on FnaticNA is slightly more balanced, but overall, Root are actually leading. So they have about a 2k XP advantage. Soy actually in trouble here. Smurf can probably pick him off with an ultimate, if he even wants to. It looks like he might just want to pick him off. If he gets another blink, no, that Sonic Wave pulls a little short. Styling a little too hard. Actually, no, one more auto attack. Yes, he picks up the kill. I was wrong. The Sonic Wave actually did clip him with the end. It just wasn't enough to actually score the kill. Meanwhile, Monkeys Forever just going right back to lane. That Ravage not delaying him too far. 3 level 8s on Fnatic. On Root, sorry. DDX, Monkeys Forever, and Merlini all actually hitting their level 8 when the highest people on Fnatic are level 7. So actually, I feel like Fnatic falling behind the development a tiny bit, although when they hit level 8 on the Chaos Knight and level 6 on the IO, that might change just because they'll be able to sort of wipe individual heroes off the map, if all goes well.
One of the big problems with Fnatic's lineup, or Root's lineup in particular, is that they are running a dual core with Anti-Mage and Alchemist, and they're both fairly farm-dependent heroes. Luckily, they're also heroes that compete very well with Chaos Knight in the mid-game period. Anti-Mage is a mid-game carry. Like, for all intents and purposes, Manta Style plus... what else is there? Manta Style plus Battle Fury is usually all he needs to start killing heroes.
Absolutely.
And for Alchemist, it's just he's a mid-game hero because he farms a 6 slot by the mid-game.
Right, right.
So it is one of the unique things about the Alchemist. I'm not sure about this Hand of Midas pickup, just because he does farm so quickly as it is. I'm not sure he needs this kind of farm enhancer over something like a Maelstrom, which does boost his combat effectiveness a lot more.
This is something we've seen a little more recently, and he didn't have the absolute smoothest early game in the world. It was pretty smooth overall, I would say, but it does give you extra XP. It gives you an extra source of gold. It's not regarded as that fantastic of an item for Alchemist, just because, I mean, you know, he already has plenty of gold generating things, but it's not bad either. If they have a particular timing they want to hit, Midas is the thing to sort of hit particular timings. Ooh, actually, I missed a kill in the middle. That's my bad. Triple on with MSS and what did I decide to call this guy? Scatman and F4L. And this is probably a tower as well. 2 sets of Treants bashing on it. The first set of Treants does despawn. Midas pop off for F4L, and I think, well, at least a fortification has to be popped. And this was level 6 for IO, by the way, so they've hit all the critical levels they need. 8 for Chaos Knight, 6 for IO, 6 for Tidehunter. They've got it all, basically.
Yeah, they also have 8 on F4L and another 8 on Queen of Pain, so they're really doing well as far as the levels are concerned. They hit all their critical levels. Merlini does stun himself, so much for that.
Is that what all that pinging was about?
I don't know. Was there pinging on top? I didn't hear it.
There was pinging on top.
Well, then that was Merlini stunning himself.
At any rate, I mean, Fnatic in no position to take advantage of it just yet. Actually, here we go. I say that, and they immediately relocate. Here it comes. Wow. He dropped like a stone right there. Sent straight to the bottom of the ocean with that gank.
You absolutely cannot stay solo once you know that there is a level 6 Wisp on the field.
Sure. It's definitely tough. They're going to pressure this tower now, and of course, Root, they don't have their fortification. They just used it to save their tier 1 mid. And so a lot of pressure coming out on this lane now. Good Illuminate coming out from, is it DDX? No, it's Pandasaurus Rex. Good Illuminate. This will actually deflect this push, but the next creep wave is coming in. The problem here is, of course, Smurf doesn't have that much mana. He might get the kill on Pandasaurus, but actually, no, sorry, they're rotating everybody else in. So Pandasaurus, he does go down. Now an advantage of basically 5-0 for Fnatic, plus a tower. Doing quite well so far, putting a lot of pressure on Root, and neither of these carries are really in that great shape yet. Monkey's Forever, he will have a pretty good Battle Fury timing. It looks like he's only about 700 gold away. But Merlini isn't really at his next item yet either, because he has been using this Midas so far. So, tough situation for Root. They're going to have to try to slow the game down, keep their carries protected, and just try to make sure that those 2 cores actually core it up.
Absolutely, and we're seeing that Monkey is fairly behind on his Battle Fury as well. He should be a little bit more, have a few more items than he does, and it could be because there's a Claymore. There is a broadsword on it, so I'm actually he's actually on time. Never mind.
Yeah. That's what I just said. He only needs the rest of the Perseverance, so about 875 gold, and he's at 400. So he's about 500 gold away. This isn't like a world-destroyingly fast Battle Fury, but it's not slow by any means, I wouldn't say.
Nah, it just, if Monkeys does get caught out of position like Merlini has been, this could end up being a nightmare for Root.
Lots of things coming out, so both teams sort of being like, hey, did you know there's an anti-mage here? Hannah Montana, he will throw out the Gush. Will he go for Ravage? No, it doesn't matter even if he had. He got way away from there. Relocate cooldown is up, but it looks like Root are pretty committed to making sure this anti-mage doesn't suffer the fate that their early Alchemist did. And they're looking for a fight, actually. DDX coming in here, so is Monkeys Forever. Reality Rift getting thrown out on the Darkseer quick. Only a 2-second stun, and the Defensive Destruction getting thrown out. Unstable Concoction comes through, Illuminate comes through, Ravage in the back. Hannah Montana actually taking care of the supports for Root completely. Meanwhile, Root's core heroes, they're trying to pick up any kill they can, but so far, no dice. 4-second stun on DDX. He cops a couple of hits from F4L as well. Merlini running around here with an Ion Shell, but it looks like Root can't continue fighting this. Hannah Montana, he gets another kill, a triple kill for Hannah Montana. He eventually gets brought down, but they're just losing heroes left and right. DDX is down, MSS taking a little bit of rest for the tower. 4-second stun on Anti-Mage. Monkeys Forever will go down with an errant Sonic Wave from Smurf, and they're looking to clean up. They're looking to take Merlini to finish this up. There's the Reality Rift. He's trapped in. Smurf and MSS will finish the job there. Shadowdean's back in. Soy actually bought back for this, and the Tier 1 tower is down as well. Mana Void on Smurf. Somehow he's still alive, and Io and MSS are chasing. Scatman manages to actually get the kill there, bringing down Soy for a second time. In the back, Monkeys Forever finally picks up a kill. Their second kill in this team fight. First one was on Hannah Montana. He finally picks off Smurf. He really needs to just get a TP scroll, dude.
This is actually the huge problem that Root's facing. Right now, they're not faring too well in this early section, and the problem is they're currently 2 versus 12 because of that first blood being, or first kill that Root got being an IO suicide.
Right. It wasn't necessarily a suicide, it was just he happened to die.
He happened to die after killing the courier.
Right.
But, you know, that's a big deal. The fact that they actually have 10 less kills than what Fnatic are packing at this point in the game is an absolute nightmare. And
I mean, to
honestly,
be fair, they never drafted this to be an early game lineup. They surely weren't expecting to be like up 10 kills at this point.
Absolutely. They weren't expecting to be up, but the problem was they shouldn't really be this far down. Like, you have a very tanky Alchemist, and this is actually going to be a Shadowblade Alchemist.
Ooh, I like it. Yeah, Midas Shadowblade, not that surprising. It does absolve you of the need to quickly go for one of those farm increasing items, so you don't necessarily need to grab. The traditional one, of course, is the Mjolnir. Recently, actually, we've seen quite a bit of Battle Fury, especially from Asian teams. I haven't seen it that much in the West yet, but I mean, I'm sure people are cognizant of it. But if you've got the Midas, then you already know that you have sort of farm rate increasing item, and so you don't need to necessarily go straight for that Mjolnir. You can actually pick up the Shadowblade, which is an excellent item, frankly. He can start charging the Unstable Concoction, and then run in, do some damage, and then toss the Unstable Concoction out. It's just a great... It makes him into a pseudo-initiator, and they kind of actually lack for that sort of big tanky guy who can just get in there. They've got Darkseer, who is sort of a pseudo-initiator, but I don't know. Blink Dagger picked up for Hannah Montana, by the way.
That's absolutely a fantastic pickup for Hannah Montana. He's actually, because of the lineup that they have, they're looking more wombo combo than anything else, based off of the Queen of Pain and the Hannah Montana. That's a huge wombo combo lineup right there. That's a lot of magical damage they can do in area, and if they time the Wrath of Nature just right, that could be a nightmare for them. One of the big problems right now is that Alchemist is actually falling behind F4L in terms of farm as well. F4L has the Shadowblade. Well, so does Alchemist, and Alchemist is actually just a little bit ahead because of the power treads.
Yeah.
But considering he is an Alchemist, and
Yes.
F4L, like, he can holla and get dollar, but...
I mean, they both have Midas. They're actually tracking each other's builds very closely, except for the boots. Basilius roughly approximates the Stout Shield, and other than that, they basically have the same item build. But eventually, I mean, Alchemist gets more gold equity for every creep he kills, is the thing. So Merlini will eventually rocket ahead of this Nature's Prophet for worth, I feel like.
That was like some of the...
Ooh, smoked up. We've got Scatman and MSS hunting in the jungle. Hannah Montana wants a piece of Monkeys Forever too. Smart blink to the south, and it might actually be fairly difficult to catch this guy. He's got his rank 4 blink. You can see he's actually prioritized blink above everything else just for that fast escape. And actually a Morbid Mask. Is this another one of those early Vlad's anti-mages that we've been seeing lately?
It might be an early Vlad's, and I'm not sure... I think that actually is a fantastic thing to have on Root's lineup for Alchemist and Anti-Mage. I just feel like that's an item that Alchemist should have picked up over the Anti-Mage. Because Alchemist can farm faster, and that delays Anti-Mage's crucial Yasha Mantis style.
Sure. He can get the Yasha immediately afterwards. I mean, when we saw it this morning, was that this morning that we saw this same sort of build? Yeah. When we saw it, the Vlad's hit and then the Yasha hit pretty much immediately afterwards. The Vlad's was just to sort of like win one specific team fight. Because the thing is, if Anti-Mage survives through a team fight, he's going to get so much gold that he'll just be able to buy the Yasha immediately. So the question is, what's going to win us that one team fight? And I think you can make an argument when you have an Alchemist on your team that it could be Vlad's.
Yeah, I personally feel like Vlad's is a little bit better to pick up on Alchemist, like I said, because he can farm it faster. But yeah, the survivability factor that comes in from an early Manta, I mean, not an early Manta, an early Vlad's for a team that has two such high priority melee heroes like Anti-Mage and like the Alchemist is a big deal. But wow, we completely missed the Roche.
No, we didn't. I've had my camera on it the whole time. I was just letting you talk.
I completely missed the Roche. And Chaos Knight
Radiant's top tower.
So MSS is going to use this Aegis immediately because he's pretty low, but he is going to go on Gambetta. That's a 3-second stun. It looks like they might want to come out, but Hannah Montana has other thoughts. He ravages. It looks like DDX going to drop. He dropped incredibly quickly. Merlini just Shadow Blades the heck out of here, basically. He's like, nope, 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 and he gets out. They won't get another kill from this, but it's a good start to this post-Roche sequence. Could I get some insight from you regarding, it really seems like Fnatic are super heavily prioritizing BKBs. Smurf actually goes BKB before anything else. That's all he has complete other than his boots. And it looks like MSS is going the BKB immediately after Armlet. What do you think about this?
I think this is actually a fantastic thing to go for in this particular lineup, just because there is a lot of lockdown that Root have.
Merlini picks up the kill on a Pharrell here. Managing to get a good Shadow Blade cast in there, even though he walked into the center road. But here comes the relocate. He's in a lot of trouble. He's way far away from home, and God, he just falls so fast. Sorry, can you resume what you were saying about the BKBs?
I think BKB is a fantastic item. The Unstable Concoction, while it does physical damage, the stun, I believe, is still magical. And you can't target on magic immune targets,
right.
So that's actually a pretty big deal. So the only way you're really going to get any damage with the Unstable Concoction on a BKB target is running into them and blowing yourself up.
Sure.
And that's an awful,
here we go, back in. DDX thought he could defend this, but unfortunately just the Blink Dagger and the movement that the IO and the CK can generate. We don't get to see this combo that often these days, but each time we do, we sort of remember why it's popular, and it's because if you're not positioned impeccably, if you're not holding together like just right on top of each other, sometimes these guys can just blow you out of the water, and that's most of MSS's BKB as well.
Yeah, one of the big problems that I've seen out of Root is that they haven't really been grouping up that much, so a lot of them have been getting picked off by MSS, who's now 4, 0, and 7, so he's participated in 11 of his 15 kills on Fnatic's team. Yeah,
That's
actually,
a lot. I mean, they have their mechanism up on Scatman as well, and this is a pretty big deal. The fact that he has this mech, Wisp is so good with mechanism. It's basically a double heal for whoever you're tethered with, as well as just being a very useful item. Root did have that earlier mech just because they have the Darkseer, who always manages to pick up mechanism pretty early in the game because he's so not item dependent. But this equalizes the situation as far as teamfight items go. One concern that I have for Root is I feel like even with the Keeper of the Light, they kind of need more mana to keep their turtling ability afloat. Just because Alchemist uses a decent amount of mana, Darkseer uses quite a bit, Shadow Demon uses a ton if he's spamming out Shadow Poison. And they totally lack for any sort of tier 2 arcane boots. I mean, maybe Darkseer will pick up one, maybe DDX will actually get one, but I'm just not sure about their ability to actually turtle once Fnatic decide they want to go high ground, which basically will be, I feel like, after MSS gets delivered as BKB.
One of the big problems that Root have is that Fnatic do have a very strong sieging lineup with the Tidehunter. Yeah. Fact is, he can initiate from so far away that it's a real challenge to avoid getting picked off by the Ravage at long distances, and then following with the rest of his team following up. A lot of Fnatic's lineup has high mobility abilities. You got the Blink, the Reality Rift, the Tether, and all of these abilities make it a nightmare for for Root to sit behind their towers and just kind of order off the creep wave. If it's just killing the creep wave, that's not a problem for them. They can kill it very quickly with all of their abilities. The problem is living when the siege is being pressed.
Absolutely. Hannah Montana, by the way, building towards pipe. I really like this as well, because for the siege, I mean, they want a high ground, so siege, to be able to siege that is very, very good. Sorry, I missed the kill on Merlini right there. But I was going to quickly talk about Monkeys Forever, because he's actually doing quite well. He's 3 levels above anybody else on the map. And he's about to hit that Yasha timing as well. So this is all good news, I feel like. The fact that the Anti-Mage will actually be relevant in the next teamfight is kind of critical for them. If they had the Anti-Mage still being dead weight, I don't know how they could possibly win. But he's got to be careful that he doesn't get relocated on as well. We do see MSS just TPing up here, just to dissuade Monkeys Forever from actually pressuring this tower down. But I think this is still the full Yasha. Yeah, we do see the full Yasha.
One of the big problems we're seeing out of Root is that Merlini's actually starting to feed a little bit. He's getting constantly picked off because he does do a lot of solo movement, and this is in large part because Fnatic has such good warding, especially.
And they have good warding, yeah, that's a great point.
They have fantastic warding in this jungle, so whenever Merlini tries to do any sort of like small camp or large camp, you know, these camps, they're all spotted out and they know it's happening.
Yeah. Now, Root are going to try to help this vision situation. You can see that they actually pick up a gem on Xoi. As long as he doesn't lose this, which is going to be tough because he actually gets ravaged. Hannah Montana jumps right in here, and here comes the relocate. Good defensive disruption, but 3 seconds still on Gambetta. He's going to try to put up a wall if he can. Does he actually have a wall? Yes, he does. It's only level 1, though. Nice! Excellent Mana Void on top of that, and that's 3 pickoffs right there. MSS is in the fray. He's still got the Sages. He's going to try to bring somebody down, but so far this fight is a disaster for FnaticNA. Where's Smart at? Is he coming into this fight? I guess not. They're just going to lose MSS. There goes the Unstable Concoction, and that'll be the end of that Chaos Knight. And finally, Root find the combo that they want. They get the stack up with the Vacuum. They put down the wall. I think there might have been a Concoction in there as well. But the big thing is the Mana Void. Mana Void on top of all that business leads to 4 down for Fnatic. Root improved their position on Anti-Mage to level 17. He actually gets in that fight. I was just mentioning, I mentioned it this morning, and I'm mentioning it again now. When Anti-Mage gets to the point that he can just live through an entire team fight in which you get like an ultra kill, suddenly he has more items. Smurf is trying to do some soloing here. They still want to pick off this gem. They just don't want to get dewarded. In fact, they care a lot about not getting dewarded, considering how many people they've plowed into the attempt to kill Xoi. He may get picked off. No, he's actually okay. He will live all the way back to the fountain. But what I was saying is, when Anti-Mage lives through a fight like that, all of a sudden he just has Manta. Like, he's only about, okay, he's at Manta. He just finished it.
Yeah, that was honestly...
They might try to pick him off here, actually. He does finish up the items, maybe, although he's actually a little bit behind, but he's gonna get picked off. 3 seconds stun. Excellent relocate from Fnatic there by Scatman and MSS. They need to try to make sure that they can continue to control this Anti-Mage, and that was a good attempt at doing just that. Yeah,
one of the big problems, though, is that Anti-Mage just ended up spending most of his unreliable gold. So he didn't actually lose anything when he died there other than valuable farming time, which I guess is important.
It is.
And when I say I guess, I mean it's quite important for someone who's going to now be out for 60 seconds.
Right.
But that said, that is still a full Manta cell picked up on the Anti-Mage, and that's really going to let him fight toe-to-toe with Chaos Knight in this mid-game section. The problem is the BKB does kind of ruin a lot of Anti-Mage's potential damage output, just by the nature of feedback not working against magic immune targets.
Sure, definitely true. But this these BKBs are starting to see some use. So first tick down, so still 9 seconds. Not something we need to talk about just now. But in the long term, Anti-Mage will, if you're only immune for 5 seconds, AM doesn't have to, ooh, Pandasaurus Rex walking into a trap from a DD Nature's Prophet. Doesn't quite kill him, but he does need the mechanism to survive, actually.
Yeah, it's still pretty even from both teams. Because of that last team fight, Fnatic don't feel as confident taking these fights anymore. And they had fantastic initiation coming in with Hannah Montana there. He was on the ball, he got the Ravage off, he hit everybody on Root.
He did hit everybody.
The problem was then Furion TP'd in and he got mana voided and killed everybody else. I think it was Hannah Montana. I mean, not Hannah Montana. It was F4L that killed his team.
Oh really? Because he was out of mana?
Yeah, he might have been out of mana. It might have been Hannah Montana. I'm not really sure which one. Either way, it was enough to instantly kill Hannah Montana, Scatman, and
Will
F4L.
Monkeys Forever get caught out again? He has Blink. If he sees this, okay, he's out. He's safe. Sorry, you were saying?
No, there's nothing really that significant. Also, it's really hard to run away from a Chaos Knight who's tethered because that's 455 base movement speed.
Absolutely. But if anybody can do it, Anti-Mage with Blink every 6 seconds? 5 seconds to do it. Here comes Relocate, and actually Fnatic seeking change. Xoi will drop incredibly quickly. The Orchid just enough to take him down. And that's the gem. Fnatic really wanted that gem. I can't overstate how much they seem to actually desire that. DDX, he's stunned out. Gets pretty unlucky there, unfortunately, but that's a Darkseer and a Shadow Demon on the ground, and Xoi gives up the gem.
Yeah, that gem is probably the biggest pickup for all of Fnatic, because Alchemist does have that Shadow Blade. It's going to ruin his initiation ability.
Well, they could have just bought one.
They could have just bought one, but now they don't have to. Now they have one for free.
For free, except they lost an entire four people trying to pick it up. But
they lost that. That was a different team fight, though. Now they got it.
Now they got it for free. That's true. It's kind of like
they got it.
It's like those coupons where you have to like spend $100 in the store, but you know eventually you get like a $5 tchotchke for free.
Yeah, exactly. And in this case, it's not a $5 tchotchke. It's an 800 gold item. So 750, 700. I can't remember if they reduced the price. I keep thinking it's 800.
No worries.
But it's a big deal because that's a lot of dewarding that they're gonna be able to do now.
Force control is incredibly important this game, honestly. They're just
also,
they try to use the spirits for the high ground vision there, but then they decide probably this is excessively cute considering their entire team is over here. It looks like Fnatic are going to rotate into the Roshan. Do you think they'll be able to get this uncontested, or?
Yeah, it doesn't look like Root know about it. They don't have very good vision if we see this. Really the only ward that Root have on the map is this high ground ward that kind of protects their jungle a bit, but that's about it. that also said, the only way that really Root are going to be able to win this kind of fight here is that we see a picture-perfect initiation
Right,
from...
but it's already kind of... It's too late.
Yeah, by Gambeta, and the problem is if they see that, Hannah Montana will just ravage, and all of your well-planned actions go to waste.
And honestly, this Alchemist has just not been able to find the farm, unfortunately. Anti-Mage, of course, basically monopolizing the map. And that's the thing about Anti-Mage. He's a greedy little dude. Like, he can take all the farm on the map, and there just won't be that much left for you. And unfortunately, Merlini has had trouble. He has his BKB, which is great, actually. It's very strong against both Chaos Knight and Queen of Pain, and it's no slouch against Tidehunter either, of course. It blocks the entirety of the Ravage. But he doesn't have much else other than that. He's trying to build off towards Assault Cuirass, but it's a ways off still, and I do mean a ways off. Actually, I said that he'd rocket past Nature's Prophet on the farm, but he hasn't. What were you saying?
I don't think this is Assault Cuirass. I think he's going for Blade Mail.
Ooh, it could be, but Cuirass would be so good for Anti-Mage.
It's actually really hard for me to say here, because Blade Mail doesn't exactly work right now because of the BKBs picked up on Fnatic.
Yeah.
So it could go either way. All things
IDK.
considered.
The problem with Blade Mail is, like, at that point you have to make the weird decision of, do I use the Blade Mail or do I just use my BKB? Like, if I use the BKB, like, what's the point of Blade Mailing? Because most of their damage, at least at first, is going to be magic. They do pipe up, so Fnatic are going to try to push this tier 2, but they might trade a tier 1 for it. It's still a favorable trade for them, but you can just see that they're no longer just getting uncontested things. They're having to make trades, because Monkeys Forever is getting bigger and bigger. Net worth at about 17,000. They claim that tower, but here he is putting a lot of pressure on the top tier 2, actually. He does get Orchided. He will Manta Style out, and he blinks away very quickly. So very smart. Actually, a Relocate coming out. Here's the Reality Rift. Will they be able to pick off Anti-Mage? Only a 2-second stun, so he might blink out of this. He actually blinks north. Oh, the Sonic Wave. What an excellent shooting right from the hip there, and that's the rest of Smurf's Sheepstick as well.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a crucial kill for Fnatic.
That's such an important kill.
The problem is that now Anti-Mage has heart money for the most part. He can't pick up that Reaver,
just
and
the Reaver.
That's a good deal of everything else. He's like he's only about 2,000 gold away now.
He's about 2K, yeah.
And that's not going to take too long for Anti-Mage to farm, to be absolutely honest, besides the fact that he's currently dead.
Nice job there, Fnatic. Really smart, actually. They actually take down the next gem. So Fnatic are like S-class gem killers here, like spending so much time and energy devoted to making sure that Root can't get vision outside of their base. And this is actually a pretty important thing, and Fnatic are really, really denying Root the opportunity to get wards up or to take wards down.
Yeah, absolutely. And every gem that... Oh, Jesus, I never even noticed. F4L is sitting on 5,400 gold.
Yeah, it's no joke.
And that's a Sheepstick. I think they're going to be going for a second Sheepstick here.
Absolutely. I think this is a really good idea, frankly. Anti-Mage still doesn't actually have his magic immunity. And actually, once he sees these... Are you sure about the heart? Because I feel like he could just build full BKB.
At this point, it's probably going to be a BKB if he starts seeing all of these Sheepsticks. And it is a BKB.
He does, yeah. I'm glad I got that in before he bought it, so I sound smart. Blah. Sorry. We do. I think the next tower for FnaticNA probably going to take that last outer tower. So going to go for that top tier 2. Right now they're just oppressing these ancients a little bit. MSS still holding on to that Aegis. What's the timer on that like? Actually got about 2.5 minutes left on it still. So in pretty good shape to actually continue pushing with that. Hannah Montana, he's done with this pipe. He actually has 1,700 gold on top of it. So this Tidehunter doing pretty well as well. The only thing about Tidehunter, we've got 2 BKBs up on Root already, and possibly more. Shadow Demon, you can see him very, very slowly building towards what either is a BKB or possibly a Halberd. I think both are actually possibilities, but...
I doubt the Halberd just because we do have the BKB up on Chaos Knight.
That's true. But not on Nature's Prophet, who actually does decent auto damage.
Especially with his current build with the Orchid and the Shadow Blade, he does do quite a lot of right-click damage,
the
actually.
The will help too. I mean, it's his primary stat.
Yep. I know there was that whole thing where it's like, make Nature's Prophet agility, and that would be devastating. But this is actually a really dangerous Nature's Prophet. With the Orchid, with the Scythe of Vice, and the Shadow Blade, he's actually basically a dedicated anti-mage killer.
Right. Right, and he helped a lot. I mean, what he can do is force the pop-off of the Manta early. Oh, good catch-out. Merlini in a lot of trouble here. Nice Blinding Light, actually, but it's not quite enough coming from Pandasaurus Rex. That was almost the ideal Blinding Light, and unfortunately, even the ideal Blinding Light wasn't enough. And Fnatic, they get the Tier 2 tower and a free Alchemist kill on top of it. And it was the real kind of free, not the Not the gem kind of free.
Not you invested in this a while ago. Here's it paying off.
Right.
Less.
Right.
But, you know, wait, but they did get a second gem, so we can say that they got it twice. They got twice the return on experience.
Buy one for four heroes, get one free? Okay, yeah, fair enough. Oh, they're in. They've high grounded. MSS and Scatman and Smurf just making a statement of intent, really, because of course Merlini on this Alchemist, he does have buyback, and I think sooner or later he's going to have to do it. Soy gets completely caught out. Good defensive disruption, and actually if Root found their timing, 4-second stun on DDX, he somehow still gets the wall up. There's Ravage, but unfortunately a pretty big mana void stack takes out Hannah Montana. MSS, there goes the Aegis. Smurf standing inside of the wall. FRL doing his good job, but he's actually getting picked up by anti-mage illusions. They've got to clear these the heck out. Smurf and Scatman, sorry, MSS and Scatman trying to get out of here. Vacuum does come out on them. They're trying to turn this around. There's the Orchid on Darkseer, but unfortunately, FRL just gets picked off by an Errant Illuminate. So, excellent job by Pandasaurus Rex in this entire team fight. Every Illuminate was on point. Good, really good blinding lights as well, and he's surged up, still trying to chase. He unfortunately won't get that last kill, but really excellent keeper of the life play, I feel. Really, like, kept the band together.
Absolutely, and that was... Honestly, Fnatic's still going to feel happier about this. They got the tower, they got a couple of support kills, they got Merlini before the fight even happened. And that makes it a lot easier for them to go after these racks. With someone like Nature's Prophet, like the Furion, he can just TP in, do a little bit of, you know, scratch damage to racks and then TP out.
Sure.
And with that Shadow Blade, it's actually very hard for Root to do anything about it anymore unless they start putting
With the Shadow Blade
sentries.
and the fact that their gem is probably still on cooldown, considering they've lost 2 of them. Let's take a look, actually. Let's find out. 2.5 minutes still until they can get another gem. That's rough beats, frankly. That's a long time to not have gem against a Shadowblade Nature's Prophet.
Yeah, and the problem then becomes, like, how do you stop the split pusher? And the answer is going to be sentries, but, like, that's a lot of...
gems. Yeah, they can clear it out.
That becomes a lot of gold, and they need an additional ward, because just a sentry alone isn't going to do anything here.
Yeah. MSS, by the way, building towards Heart. I'm still wondering what Merlini is actually making, because he has 4,500 gold. It feels to me like it's about time for him to actually make something. Actually, a sheep stick out on Monkeys Forever. Will they relocate onto him? It looks like they've decided not to for the time being. Just trying to put the Fear of God into him a little bit. Actually, no, they did relocate. They did relocate, but they guessed wrong. He actually went west. Really good job actually heading into the river there. Ends up being completely safe in that gank. Unsuccessful. Again, this anti-mage, we gotta keep an eye on him. Like, you can't just leave him alone. He is level 22, still 3 levels above the pack, so still farming very, very well. 328 last hits in 36 minutes. About 9 last hits per minute, which is very, very good.
We do see, actually, an AC is picked up on the Alchemist, and that's actually a fantastic pickup for the Aura. The armor assembly does not stack with Vlad's, though, so that is one downside.
Right. But he does have D armor, which Vlad's does not.
Yeah, and on top of that, the Acid Spray armors, that's actually a grand total of 11 armor reduction coming out just from Alchemist.
It's a lot, actually.
And if they want to go even further, they can go Desolator.
Ooh,
but
nice!
FRL,
Actually, Purge and Sentry Wards and the Unstable Concoction going on in F4L. We do get a Scythe of Vice, but I'm not sure they can fight this. The mechanism goes out. Sonic Wave hits. Smurf is right in here. He's BKB'd. Actually, Merlini just gets swatted down like a bug. And they're continuing to chase. Soy is trying to TP out. The Reality Rift goes out, but it's not enough to interrupt. He will make it back into Fountain. And actually, Root managed to flee effectively. Really good job from them there. But still, they lose Merlini and they don't pick up the kill on FRL that they were seeking. And that's got to be a little bit dispiriting, honestly.
Yeah, that's...
Actually, weird pipe from Hannah Montana just hitting himself.
No, he got a bunch of creep waves.
Okay,
and
but still...
Well, by keeping the creep waves up, that lets them push into these racks,
right,
just because they need some sort of creep in the area.
He does the relocate. Where are they going? They're actually going into base. They're going to drop a gem, and they're going to go right back into the fray. So just to relocate to sort of get their spirits back up, basically heal all the way back up, get the rest of the mana, and they're going to continue pressuring this. This time, keep in mind, no Aegis. And actually, MSS is not done with his heart quite yet. But Fnatic are going to try to push this down, and Root are going to do their best to stop them. DDX, he's so close to that Agonist, but he just doesn't want to get rid of buyback money, even though he actually does have a 1-minute cooldown. Sheepstick out on Monkeys Forever. This is actually trouble. If they lose this Anti-Mage, this could be a serious problem. He does have buyback, though. He is actually incredibly tanky, and he's fighting all the way here. BKB's popped again, Smurf's BKB, MSS's BKB. No kills on the board yet. All the damage focused on one very, very tanky anti-mage. Disruption gets thrown out. Will Fnatic even be able to get the Raxes? It feels like they really need to. Mana Void gets thrown out. Actually, Fnatic are being melted. This anti-mage is quite big. All Fnatic want is this Rax, and they might not get it. It actually is completely turned around on them. It looks like Scatman will fall as well, and 4 down for Fnatic. Maybe they should have waited for the Aegis.
They probably should have. But I think one of the big problems was they really wanted to just get the kills and they weren't focused on the racks. Had they...
I guess.
I don't know, because they did enough damage to the anti-mage to force them off, and that was good, right? They managed to get Monkeys Forever to back off a little bit, but I feel like once they managed to force Monkeys Forever off, they should have stopped the chase and just finished off the racks as quickly as possible.
I thought that's what they did do. It seemed to me like they were kind of focusing the racks, but maybe you're right. They probably could have put even more resources into that. Unfortunately, I mean, Anti-Mage just has become a little too big. And keep in mind, he doesn't have that much in the way of tank items. He has the Assault Cuirass armor bonus, Vlad's, I guess, and, sorry, I mean, the one armor bonus. They're going to go for the Roshan, so this is actually a big deal. If Fnatic needed the Roshan, then taking it away from them is a huge deal. And this, keep in mind, is the first cheese Roshan. This is the one that Fnatic probably really wanted to end this game. And unfortunately, not only will they not end the game, this is an Aegis for Monkeys Forever and a cheese for Merlini. The next fight, when Fnatic try to push the top, is going to be tough.
I would like to mention that Merlini has finally got his name on the board as the second most farmed person on this map.
He didn't have it until now. Oh, right, you're right. He was behind F4L.
Yeah, for quite some time. So he actually managed to find this farm despite dying 7 times.
That's a lot of times.
That's a lot of deaths. But on top of that, actually, I was tracking his attack speed. When he's actually chemical raged, he attacks every 0.35 seconds.
Not bad. Decent.
So he can actually just go straight Skull Basher and Perma Bash people with that.
Unless he gets Perma Lockdown. He does have his BKB, but he's still sort of been dying more than you'd expect. But I feel like, the thing is, I feel like we're getting close to the tipping point. And in fact, wow, that XP difference. Root cutting their XP deficit by more than 10,000 with that last fight, and actually cutting the gold deficit down to 0. Smurf just getting hit by that Alchemist. Here's the Unstable Concoction. Will this actually pop off? They're just going to have to use it on Scatman, so Wisp down, but that's really all they get from that fight. Really just picking off that IO. But continuing to farm the Ancients, continuing to sort of push themselves a little bit closer, and I mean, now they're probably ahead on gold, and they're not going to be behind for the rest of this game, actually.
No, especially when you have heroes like Anti-Mage, Flash farmers like Anti-Mage and Alchemist, you can catch up from being behind, especially because Anti-Mage can farm the jungles in 2 lanes all at the same time like Phantom Lancer. But it's starting to become a real problem for... That's a lot of money on Anti-Mage too. Monkeys is sitting on 7k.
Oh, yeah. No, dude, a lot of people have a lot of money in this game. Like, it's pretty crazy, actually.
It's actually really interesting because almost a third of Monkeys Forever's net worth is in gold, not items.
What the heck is the current gold button? It's T. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Root are going to try to high ground. So, the Fortify comes out. Will Fnatic be able to defend? They do have hard on Chaos Snipe, but what they don't have is a buyback. And they're going to actually fully buy out. So Smurf picks up an MKB, but their Raxes are going. They have to try to do something about this right the heck now. Here we go. Here's the Ravage. Monkeys Forever copying that Sonic Wave. They've actually silenced Merlini. It looks like they'll pick him up quickly, but here comes the Anti-Mage on the back foot. He is slamming into them. There's no buyback for MSS. There's no buyback for Smurf. And actually, Fnatic are getting kind of routed here. There go the 2 critical heroes that they needed to stay up. And can they actually survive this? I think they may have missed their window. I think they may have missed their chance. Hannah Montana buys back. But now that he doesn't have Ravage, now that they're not able to actually pick off Monkeys Forever or Molini, there they go. There's 4 of them down in Fountain. And I think Root can just push through here. They have 1 Rax. They're going to move on. They're doing some damage to this bottom Rax. It's got the Assault Cuirass armor debuff. This is going down pretty quickly. 49 seconds for Smurf, 40 seconds for Chaos Knight, 60 seconds for F4L and the Nature's Prophet, and only the Nature's Prophet has buyback, and he kind of doesn't want to spend it because the rest of his team can't buy back. They knew they needed to buy out to stand a chance, and unfortunately the buyout wasn't even enough. Oh man, Elprez, are they out? Are they done?
That's it. Honestly, I think that puts FnaticNA out, and that was just one hell of a team fight for Root. Not only did Fnatic fail to get any kills in that fight, they didn't even break Aegis on Monkeys. And actually, Monkeys now has almost half of his gold in just gold. His net worth is...
Yeah. I am astonished that it basically just came down to that one fight. And it basically just came down, I feel like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, to a slight just lack of patience, lack of deliberation. nothing was really forcing Fnatic. I mean, Merlini was dead. They had just gotten a pick off on Alchemist, but he had buyback. They could have just one more minute, and they could have had the next Roshan, and that was a cheese Roshan.
I think that was definitely the tipping point. Yeah. That whole fight was honestly a huge disaster for Fnatic. They ended up losing 4 there, and then the Roshan.
And Roche. Roche was an enormous deal, because at that point I feel like to win they needed to lift themselves up with that extra Aegis, with that extra cheese. And without it, they looked alarmingly behind in the next fight after that. Like, all of a sudden it's like, how the heck were these guys winning? I mean, I know exactly how, but it makes them look like they're more behind than they actually have been all game. They were so ahead, Elprez. Just look at this chart. It's like a little K2 over here.
I would like to note that the gold difference is actually entirely what Anti-Mage has on him. Like, what Anti-Mage has
is actually in his pocket. Is this going to be a base race?
Dire's top tower.
Is that their
if
only
it's a base race, Fnatic are going to lose.
It might be their only chance, though, dude.
Yeah, they're just ignoring the racks.
Root have noticed, and they're going on this. And unfortunately, they still have Fortify, and Fnatic don't. Oh, Monkeys Forever and Merlini are burning down the station at a colossal rate. I'm gonna look at Root's Ancient, but I have my my numbers set on Fnatic's Ancient. And unfortunately, Root have still not broken the tier 4. They just broke the tier 4. 2,000 HP on the Dire Ancient, 1,000 HP on the Dire Ancient, and they get about halfway through the Radiant Ancient before they get brought down. FnaticNA, that was a gutsy last-ditch effort. I'm not quite sure that they could have done anything else. But unfortunately, Dota's a game that can turn on a dime, dude, and I really think that it turned on a dime there. Fnatic were looking good. They were set to breach the high ground. All they needed was an Aegis and a cheese, and they just went just before they got it, and that one decision will send them out of this tournament and send Root to the losers bracket round 2. Wow.
Absolutely. And Monkeys Forever really was incredibly patient throughout this game. He knew exactly what he wanted, exactly when to farm, and he farmed phenomenally. He got a ridiculous amount of gold. He well surpassed Fnatic's MSS. Honestly, once the mid-game started to fade, and Chaos Knight's power relative to everyone else's started to fade as well, Anti-Mage started taking over. Like I said, Anti-Mage, I say, is a mid-game hero, but he's also a mid-game hero that scales phenomenally because he does have that reduced BAT.
Sure.
So, I say he's a mid-game hero. He just
you
scales
Alchemist.
phenomenally.
You said Anti-Mage, but you beat Alchemist.
I said both of them were mid-game heroes, to be honest.
You did.
But
okay.
That's because Alchemist can get 6 slotted 30 minutes in.
Sure.
He didn't this game, but Alchemist can. So.
Wow.
Yeah, that was phenomenal. And a base race to end it all.
It was a base race to end it all, which I love. I love the base races. All right, so thanks so much for watching, guys. This was Netolic Raid Call Pro League West, not tiebreaker, losers bracket round 1. Root advances, Fnatic goes home, but Fnatic's given us some great games this tournament. All due props to them. Root move on to the losers bracket round 2. They will be facing the loser of winners bracket round 1, sort of the top half of that. Again, you can check our tournament website out at netolic-raidcall.com, Netolic. But I'll save more details for later because I do want to move up into our next game in just a couple minutes, which will be Pain Gaming, the Brazilian team, versus Shitbirds, I think they're mixed US-Canadian, but primarily US. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's what it is. Anyway, we'll be going into that in just a few minutes. Don't go away, folks. We will have more playoff action coming to you in just a moment.